welcome back. It's Mrs. Peterson, that lady who teaches art, and right now we are picking back up where we left off after part one of our two-point perspective cityscape. So here is where I left off. If you don't have this done yet, you can go back and watch part one, but we're going to start here and add our details now. So on this back building back here, we measured each of these buildings 4 centimeters. So I'm going to mark out every ½ centimeter, and I'm just going to give myself just a little tiny mark along the bottom of this building. We're going to just add some details here, make it look like it's got some kind of decorative design on it. I'm going to make sure my ruler's really straight up and down, and I'm going to just put a straight up and down line every ½ centimeter as a little decorative part of this building. Now, I want to show you how this is wrong. I often like to do that in art class. I like to show something wrong so that you can see what not to do. So if we zoom in on this, you can see that I did these each a ½ centimeter apart, but this one looks skinny, and by the time it gets back here, it looks fat, because they should be getting smaller as they go back. They should be getting closer together to make it look like they're the same. So this one looks shorter and fatter, and this one looks tall and skinny, and that's because we can't just mark every ½ centimeter. Okay, so let's start again. I could have maybe left the first one, but let's put that first one back at the centimeter mark. Now the next one, I know where the centimeter mark is, and I don't want it to quite be there. Let me turn my ruler so I can see. I want to come almost there, but definitely not all the way there, because it's going to get smaller as it goes back. And then this one I'm going to make about halfway back on the next one. I'm just going to start adding little details. Notice how they're getting much closer together the further back I go. Keep your ruler right lined up. It's getting kind of askew. And things are going to like fade out the further back they get. So you should not be drawing with your darkest dark yet. The closer they get to that vanishing point, the more atmospheric graying is happening. We learned about that technique with our space review. So by the time I get way back here, it's going to be like a bunch of lines. I might end up making this building just look all gray. Okay, so there we have it. If that needs to look like they're evenly spaced, then they actually have to get closer together. Okay, on this front building, let's draw a door. And it's really important, if you are coming up with your own drawing from your mind, that you think about what would look right. So if my sidewalk is this long, I wouldn't make my door this tall. That would look like a giant door compared to my sidewalk. I also would not make my door something this small. Then that would make that sidewalk look huge, okay? So we need to think about what size would be appropriate. And if you do it and you look at it and you're like, I think it's not looking right, then try again. So we're going to give ourselves a line from our right side vanishing point. We're just going to give ourselves the top line, and we're going to make this into a double door, okay? So I'm going to go straight down from here and straight down on this side. And a lot of students would just want to say, okay, well, however long this is, it's like 1.5 centimeters. So if I found, 3/4 of a centimeter, that's going to be exactly half. Well, that's not actually true. I'm going to show you how to find something that's halfway in perspective. You're going to take the corners and lightly do an X over whatever the shape is from one corner to the other. Like a little X. And wherever those cross, that is actually the middle. So now if I put a line straight up and down that also goes right through the middle of that X, now those doors are correctly spaced in perspective. All right, so I have 2 doors. Now I'm going to go back to this next building, and I am going to do a crisscross pattern. Or not a crisscross, like a waffle pattern, like a checkerboard. So we know that this is 4 centimeters, and if I just would mark every centimeter, that wouldn't be correct. But I'm going to mark the first one and put it straight up. And then I know that the next one needs to be smaller than that. So I don't quite want it as wide as that one. And then you kind of need to like look at your space and see what you got left. So I'm going to do like this, and we'll call that good. And then I want to mark, now this is awesome, okay, so really pay attention to this. I'm going to mark every centimeter on the side here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 5th one is the bottom. And I'm going to take these lines, that little dash I just made, and I'm going to go back to my vanishing point. I'm going to go across this building, and this is going to end up looking like a checkerboard or a waffle pattern. And it is important that all of these lines are spaced evenly along one side to make it look correct. Okay, so there you have that building. And then on the back building, we'll just give it a garage door. How about that? So we'll go straight up and down. Let's go all the way from the top of that line we just did back to our right side vanishing point. And then straight down from there. Make this into our garage door. Now, garage doors, like the ones that we have a mark that divides them into thirds. So I'm going to put a little mark on that side, and then I'm going to lightly create this detail going across the door at both of those marks. Okay, so there's a garage door. All right, now let's talk about the lines on the sidewalk. When they pour the sidewalk, they tend to put cuts in it so that when it freezes in the winter and when it expands in the summer, it doesn't crack the sidewalk too terribly bad. So on the right side, we're actually going to go to our left vanishing point. So if I go right from the corner here, I can finish this off, and don't go into your curb, just stop right there. And then I'm going to just take that from there. Every so often, I'm going to put another cut in there. That first one's going to be pretty big there, and then they're going to start to get closer together. So I'm just lining up with my back vanishing point and going through the sidewalk. And eventually they will fade together because of atmospheric rain. You will not see them. So I'm just going to do a few. Oopsie, I really jumped there. So holding it well. Line up with your left vanishing point and your sidewalk. Okay. Then we're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. We're going to put some lines on our sidewalk, and we're going to use the right vanishing point for this. Let me just zoom out a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Right vanishing point and the corner. We're going to draw that first line there. And then this first one is probably going to be the biggest. Well, it's obviously going to be the biggest. But it's not going to be as big as it was on the other side because we know that this side is actually going to be smaller. So we might only see like 3 on this side before they disappear. Now, one thing to really make this look three-dimensional is to now go back and give yourself straight up and down vertical lines from that corner you just made down onto the curb right there. See what I just did? I went straight down. I'm going to do that right here as well. Here. There. And this will be the last one we see. I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side. Straight down. Straight down. And straight down. Okay, then the last thing is going to be the lines on the middle of the road. So we're going to find about the middle here of this, and we marked it off as 3 centimeters, so I'm going to go to the 1.5 centimeter mark. And I'm just going to go a little bit above and below that then, because this 1.5 centimeter mark is exactly the middle, and I want to have my lines that are going to go down the middle just be a little bit thicker, so they're not just a line. Sometimes kids tend to just draw a line down the middle and call that good, but actually the road is usually darker and that line is usually lighter because it's made with like reflective paint. So now I'm lining up with those same marks, and I'm going to go back towards my left vanishing point. Okay, and we'll just put 1 line on it for today. We don't want to take all of our time doing that. This is part 2, you guys. Join me for part 3 where we shade this artwork. All right, guys, can't wait to see what you create.